things during the session. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that specifically today because of how things are set up across a lot of pairs. There's a lot of textbook chart patterns that have formulated, for this, this past week or 2 weeks or whatever, right? And so now those patterns have formed, and now we're at the stage where we have to be patient, and we have to wait for these patterns to play out in order to, be able to take advantage of a huge move on, one of these pairs that have those chart patterns. So you're going to see, at least I'm going to talk about it, to where you can see what my psychology is. How do I go about, positioning myself? What am I waiting on? What am I being patient for? Right? You know what I mean? To fill in those gaps, you know, uh, for a lot of people that's on the call, for you guys to understand, hey, I keep hearing about these chart patterns, chart patterns, chart patterns. You guys are like killing me. All I hear about is chart patterns. What the heck is it all about? What does it mean? Like, what are you guys actually doing? If you just see this chart pattern, do you just buy it? Right? If you see this chart pattern, do you just sell it? Right? How are you guys making money from these chart patterns? What's so special about these chart patterns? Right? The list goes on. You guys have all kind of questions about it, but I'm going to sum it up for you guys today in a very simplistic way, meaning that what these chart patterns are all about is just something that traders have been able to identify throughout, experience and time, if you will. They've just been able to identify some kind of pattern that we can identify, right? We can relate to, like, I guess, in the world, in the real world, right? You know what I mean? Because if I say, hey, that looks like a triangle, right, then you probably know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? If I say, hey, go through this tomb, like, it's Tomb Raider, a video game or something, and I say, hey, when you're going through these mountains or whatever, you're gonna see this little rock shaped like a triangle, and that's where the hidden jewel is gonna be. Well, you go through the little, cave or whatever, and then you see something that some kind of rock that looks like a triangle. You're gonna be like, oh, I think this is what he's talking about. This has definitely got to be it. Look at that rock; it's shaped just like a triangle. All right, so you go over to that triangle, and then boom, there goes the jewel or whatever, right? You know what I mean? So it's just something right off the bat for you guys to be able to identify. All right, so if you can identify it, well, now you can associate it with uh, a certain move, right, or a certain direction that it's going to go in. That's what it's really all about. So, identifying the pattern is one thing, and then knowing what that pattern is supposed to do is the second thing, right? And then obviously the last thing is positioning yourself to be able to take advantage of the move that that pattern is supposed to make, to where it's complete, if you will, right? You know what I'm saying? So, um, that's what those patterns are all about. All right, and it's nothing, it's really nothing complicated. I can't say this stuff enough. You know what I mean? It's elementary type stuff, right? What are we looking at? Shapes, you know what I'm saying? Triangles, and what do we got? A cup and handle, right? Somebody sipping on something right now in the cup, right? Easily identifiable, right? Head and shoulders, all right? We know exactly what head and shoulders look like, right? We all got head and shoulders. So that's identifiable to us. You know what I'm saying? Again, they could have named these patterns whatever they wanted to name them, but these are the names, right? And the more you guys get acclimated with just knowing what the name is, and then knowing what the pattern looks like, that's half the battle. That's half the battle. All you need to know is what it looks like, okay? And then what it's supposed to do. This stuff is very, very easy, guys. So